We got in the car in the middle of the night and we drove north. So if you look at the map of Ukraine, if you drive straight north, you get to Belarus. My dad got off in Minsk and he said, you keep driving north to Moscow and you pick me up at the airport. All our stuff, belongings, I drove across Belarus, across Russia. I was almost carjacked in Moscow, and the knowledge of a screw from a meat grinder saved me.
Wow.
I got away from that chase and I picked them up, and in a few days we got on the plane and we met my stepmom and my stepsisters in Prague.
Emotionally unavailable. Hi, welcome to Emotionally Unavailable. This is truly a show about me and my journey. When I started Emotionally Unavailable, I thought I was just learning how to be more vulnerable. But somewhere along the way, vulnerability became transformation. Emotional, spiritual, human. Every guest I've spoken with has been a mirror, a teacher, a reflection of something I was meant to see. These conversations aren't interviews, they're energy exchanges. I'm not here as an expert, I'm here as a student of life. And together, we're learning what it really means to open our hearts, to show up honestly, and to find connection in the spaces we once hid from. The journey back to ourselves starts here. Hi guys, it's going to be a quick intro because my throat is hurting really bad and I am having sinus stuff. See, I'm already having a sniff. And, yeah. Also, I feel like a child's going to interrupt me any second now. So, today's guest is Lyubim Kogan, a 5-time first-generation immigrant, Winter Olympian, NYU Stern graduate, 9/11 survivor, and founder of wingsforheroes.org, a mission helping amputee and deaf combat veterans reclaim dignity, purpose, and joy through camaraderie, adventure, and flight. His journey spans Wall Street trading desks, Main Street kitchen tables, crisis leadership in war zones, and humanitarian missions across continents. He's a national best-selling co-author with Steve Forbes and has shared the stage at the United Nations with Brian Tracy. Today, he's here to talk about rebuilding after catastrophic loss and how to lead when there's no system, no money, and no applause. Well, we sort of talked about that. We really just talked about him so that you understand who he is and why he's on the mission that he's on with Wings for Heroes. This was very literally a beautiful conversation. I'm really excited for people to hear this. I am really hoping to garner support for Lyubim's mission, as you're going to hear him talk about toward the end. He has like merchandise, and every dime of profit from that goes to basically each merch has a profit of $40. And after he sells 100 items of merch, he then has enough to fly a combat veteran, I don't think just from the United States, from wherever, over to where he is in Turkey to do the types of therapy that he helps get them. It's not just him he does some parts of it, which you'll hear, but he also, I'm going to let you listen to what he says that they do, but it is amazing. And I know right now it's difficult for me to pay extra for things like that. If anyone wants to go in with me to buy an item of merchandise, you can have the merchandise. Maybe Lyubim has some, I doubt he has just like a place we can donate, because he's kind of like into the idea that you get something for your quote-unquote donation. So anyway, let's support him because this is amazing work. I know, let me just say this, you know how I like to keep it real about things. I have my own feelings about the military-industrial complex, and I tend to swing very violently on the pendulum of feelings as I'm sorting out my own preconceived notions and unconscious and sometimes conscious biases. And so, I was raised in the generation where you pledge allegiance no matter what, blah, blah, blah. Veterans get the highest honors, da, 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 da. And then as I've watched people destroy themselves for the sake of what we call freedom, in a world that does not feel very free to me right now personally. And if I lose you as a listener for saying that, I understand, and it would have really triggered me at a certain point too. So I love you. Sorry to, hurt your feelings. I mean that sincerely. Anyway, for me, it feels very sad that there are people fighting for women to continue to lose their rights. But I do know that is not what they believe they are fighting for. So what my point in that is yes, I am against the military industrial complex in itself, but I am not against the veteran who signs up to do what he feels is an honorable thing. And it is honorable to try to make a difference in the world in whatever way that you feel is the best for you. So I do really want to honor veterans on my own, not in a way where I felt kind of forced and fake. Like Charlie did a Veterans Day thing with her choir, and it felt yucky. And so how I do all things, I would just rather celebrate in the way that feels honorable to my own belief system as well. I am actually incredibly nervous. I was not planning on saying any of these things, but this is what's coming up in my heart right now, so that's what you get. But I do honor the people who have made any amount of sacrifice, whether it's the ultimate one or their sanity. My God. So I am so profoundly impressed with this mission and do want to help make a difference. But money's tight for me. I'm an entrepreneur. And so if anyone wants to go in with me to purchase an item of clothing, you can have the item of clothing. We'll ship it to you. I'll just Cash App you or whatever, my half, as soon as you show me that you have actually done that. But make sure you check in first, because if more than one person takes me up on this offer, that would really suck. It wouldn't suck, but it would suck for me because Mama ain't got that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, wow, way off task here, Melissa. But my Gemini ass, that's how we roll sometimes. I am deeply moved by Lyubim. I'm so happy that we have made this connection. I want to stay in contact with him and watch this work develop. Lyubim, I love you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so in awe of you and everything that you're doing. Sorry, that was my dryer going off. And that's probably a good place to go, because look at us. We're at 6 minutes on this intro that I said was going to be very fast. And you can tell my throat really does hurt. So, okay, hopefully I've sold you on what a good dude Lyubim is, because he is. Listen to this episode. Reach out if you want to help this mission. I will make sure I include the links to his website and his Instagram, where he's very active. And yeah, you're going to love this guy. For real, you're going to love this guy. So, yeah, here's me and Lyubim.
Emotionally unavailable.
Right. Well, it's so nice to finally meet you. What a busy man you are.
It's really nice to meet you too, and thank you for being so flexible. We
Yeah.
have a huge time difference, that makes it complicated. So
Yes. Where
I
are you?
appreciate you making this studio. I'm in Turkey.
Oh, that is a huge well, I'm saying that like I know. What time is it there right now?
8 p.m.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a big difference. Wow.
So,
What?
if you think about, I am an early riser, and if this is the latest that I can start an episode, because otherwise I just run out of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's fair to you or to the listeners, and I'd like to, bring everything I can bring. So
I understand
thank you.
totally. That would be late for me too. Even though I don't get up that early, I don't want to do things that late. So thank you for being up late for us.
My pleasure.
So, okay. Um, I don't know that this interview will be like most interviews that you do, just because I do things a little bit differently. I really
Okay.
I will give you time to talk about Wings for Heroes and that mission, but I really want to start with you, just getting to know
Okay.
you, because I know that you have a crazy interesting story based off this bio that I've read hundreds of times of yours.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, you are a
What would you like to know?
Well, I'm confused about what 5-time first-generation immigrant means, so I would love to start there.
Okay. Okay. Good start.
Life doesn't pause when you're sick. Vaccines against respiratory illnesses can help protect you and give you more playtime with your best friend. Depending on age and health status, vaccinations for flu, COVID-19, RSV, or pneumococcal infection may be recommended. Vaccines can help keep you from having a rough time. Learn more at cveep.org/vaccines-protect. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and CVEEP, fighting infectious respiratory disease.
So, I was born in the former Soviet Union, and Soviet Union had 15 different republics. And after Soviet Union broke apart, each became an independent country. So my part of the former Soviet Union became Ukraine. And, the central power was always in Russia.
Uh-huh.
So Russia used to be like this satellite or father, mother state, whatever you call it. But all the central planning was done in Russia, and everything was kind of passed down. Like we have independent states, but imagine if Washington, D.C. made all the rules. It was, it was dictatorship. Everything was planned in one city and then passed down, even though, sometimes it feels like that.
It
But
certainly feels that way
um
right now. But yeah,
okay,
no,
yeah,
okay.
we're whispering to each
Yeah.
other across the ocean on the podcast that really, and I think it's a good topic, and it's really timely right now because um, so Soviet Union broke apart when I was 16, and when I was 17, one day my dad came home and he said, "We're moving to the United States and we're never coming back.
Wow.
You have a few hours to pack up and we have to go." So at 17, I really had a big dream of going and skiing. I was a ski jumper, and I really wanted to ski in the Olympics. So I didn't need hours to pack. I just took my ski suit, my boots, my helmet. I put on my running suit, my shoes, and I was ready to go. We got in the car in the middle of the night and we drove north. So if you look at the map of Ukraine, if you drive straight north, you get to Belarus. My dad got off in Minsk and he said, "You keep driving north to Moscow and you pick me up at the airport." And with all our stuff, belongings, I drove across Belarus, across Russia. I was almost hijacked in Moscow, or carjacked in Moscow, and the knowledge of a screw from a meat grinder saved me.
Wow.
I got away from that chase and I picked them up, and in a few days we got on the plane and we met my stepmom and my stepsisters in Prague. And from there, we boarded Delta Airlines and we came to the United States, and we had a religious asylum or refugee status, um, legal entry, going through the Immigration Naturalization Service. I know what that process is like, and I see what's going on right now. I cannot judge, I'm not saying, this is right, this is wrong, but I see how teachers get pulled out of classrooms right now, and people get arrested um, in front of the court because supposedly they don't have much merit to their cases. But this whole country was built, most people are from somewhere else,
Yeah.
their parents, grandparents. And if you're not a Native American, some people trace their lineage to the Mayflower. And I've known a few people whose ancestors came on Mayflower. So that was my first immigration,
And what
and
year
I
was
stayed
that?
1992.
Okay.
So in 1992, and for the next 24 years, well, first of all, I kind of got lucky because when we came to the States, my uncle was living there for 5 years already. And I asked them to write to ski schools and see if they would let me ski. And the National Sports Academy at Lake Placid, they invited me for an interview, and we drove the 300 miles. It was exactly, well, it's 92, so 33 years ago, and it was on Halloween. We drove up
Wow.
to upstate New York in Lake Placid, and I met the school, the principals, the coaches, everybody. And I was fortunate that they offered me a scholarship that I can live there, like, so I'm living in the boarding school.
Yeah.
I'm learning English. I'm learning the culture because all of my roommates were Americans. I had this complete separation and break from where I came from. And one of my roommates, I had two, one of them, he wanted to become an English teacher. And we learned English. He taught me words without a dictionary. So it was like I was living in a boarding school with Americans, plus one wanted to be a teacher. So it actually, he helped me a lot. And everybody helped me a lot. This was like everybody says, a lot right now. I live outside of the United States and I travel a lot. And people are really taken back that I'm an American because they think we are these mongers, like we go everywhere and because we're the biggest and the strongest and we're going to come and take over. And we have like, this image and, they don't see, like, to me, I saw Americans as like really generous people. Number one. Number two, really patient because I know like 3 words, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wasting your time and I'm making you think and I'm making you work like to try to understand what am I trying to tell you. But my experience in the 90s, early 90s was super positive.
Oh.
So just to answer your question, then after 24 years, back in 2015, I was, I reached all the goals that I had when I was young, when they came to the States, plus a lot more. And I find myself, well, first I went to Slovakia, right? And that was my second move. And it was maybe 6, 7 months after that, I had an offer. I did an audit in Ukraine, and it was an internal audit, which means I come in at the direction of of owners, and they asking me specific information that I need to find out. And when I presented my findings, they knew that they had to fire people that were there for a long time.
Yeah.
And they say, Lyubim, could you take over until better times? And, Melissa, like, I really, like, imagine, well, they had no hope. So 2014, Crimea get annexed by Russia. There is a war going on the east side. The whole world is like, we don't want this to escalate. So everybody steps back.
Yep.
Right now, everyone is supporting Ukraine. But in 2014, 15, people were afraid, or other countries, the European Union, United States, everybody just said, okay, let's just watch how this thing plays out.
Mm-hmm.
And the regular people, Ukraine was the second poorest country in Europe before the war started. So to them, that paycheck was the only thing. They didn't have they couldn't go find another job. There was like only one,
Yeah.
and most people really wanted to work. And I realized that when I came in, first thing I did, look, we're here to work. If you guys want the popularity contest, just there's the door. We don't argue. This is not the time to show what you did in the past 20 years, okay? And this is not the time to make people feel bad because we really need to get on the same page. Like we need to survive until tomorrow. That was the goal.
Right.
Believe it or not, like if we are running and operating tomorrow, and I had a chain of 92 gas stations all over the country, spreading east and south where, the war was going on. So I said, if we are operating tomorrow, if our gas stations are running, like, we did a great job. This is not about how profitable, how big we're going to become.
Right.
And I realized that, like, if I make a mistake, then there will be more than 1,000 families without a paycheck. And that's the last paycheck that they have. And they like looked up to me. They made me, I have my own comics book. They made me a
Wow.
comics book. Yeah. That what was going on, how bad it was the year before I came. And then they painted the picture how it was for me in the United States, because 2014, I co-authored the book with Steve Forbes, which became a bestseller. And the following year, I spoke with my mentor and like, the guy who I looked up to when it comes to public speaking, with Brian Tracy. We spoke at the United Nations headquarters in New York.
Wow.
And they put that in the comic book. They're saying, well, this is what's going on here. This is on the other side of the planet. Wouldn't be nice if we had Superman here.
Oh my
And then, of
god, I
course,
love
the
it.
end of the book that I made it across the ocean, and I really saved them. So, you know, that's how it was. From there, when um, when the war went full scale and we were told to get out of the United States, my first place was I went to Austria, but after Austria, I moved to Turkey, and this is where I run Wings for Heroes, and this is where I live. This is like home right now. So and I'm saying 5-time immigrant is that I moved to another country where I had to live, get a residency permit, go through
Mm,
immigration. Not you come in your 90 days and then you go bye-bye, actually coming in. And to me, it's actually making friends and meeting people and understanding the mentality.
yeah.
Like I got what America was all about when we were on the red carpet in Hollywood getting our rewards,
Mhm.
awards for the bestseller. And I realized this is because of the United States Constitution. My freedom of speech allows me, well, first of all, freedom of religion allowed me to come to the United States because we had a religious asylum when I came. Second,
Wow.
it was the same amendment that allowed me to express myself and write. I used to write all the time. I stopped writing a few years ago, but before it was like my thing. I would get up every morning and I had to sit there quiet, when nobody's up and just write these. I had these notebooks, boxes, so I don't know where they are, and I realized, so this was like me really understanding what being an American is and like really realizing that this is like I thrived in that environment.
Mhm.
I was really this troubled child who always got kicked out from school. I got expelled from every grade in school except the eighth because
Really?
the eighth was the transitional year. Yeah, yes, it was transitional. They gave me the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. And then I come to
Wow.
the US. I come to the US and I'm in this little private school, right? We have like 5 people and we're all in different grades. And I'm looking at one and he's like, this guy is studying arithmetic and we're like the same age. And I'm thinking, "Pff," he's like, is he slow or what? But then I see how in other classes he is like different level. And it made me realize that, in America, if you're really interested in something, you can just study that and specialize and do what you like. You don't need all other junk. Yeah, you need to have minimum requirements, right? So you're a
Right.
well-rounded person, but they're not going to label you as like, this is a failure because I cannot look, if I can balance my checkbook, it's okay. I don't need more math.
Right. Right.
For me, math
So
was
in
my strength. Yeah.
Ukraine, they had more requirements for, like, not
Structured. Everybody's the
specializing?
same. Everybody has to go from grade 1 to graduation. You with the same people in the same class for 12 years now. They
Wow.
study the same thing and they move you and they will not allow you to like, you know, focus on things that you're interested in and actually move you in that direction. So if
Wow.
you are really bad at math, you're going to have to pass calculus before you graduate. And I know in the States, some people, they will never,
They'll never take
I'm talking about
calculus.
math because that was my strength. So
Yeah.
I understand. And here, the guy that would have been labeled in the former Soviet Union like an idiot, failure, would repeat classes over and over and over, is actually this genius, that goes on and starts a company or
Yeah.
invents something, becomes something like a really productive member of society. And the other structure didn't work for me. So in the States, it worked for me. They let me do what I wanted to do. And I thrived, Melissa. I really thrived.
That autonomy really
I really
helped
found
you.
my, yeah,
Yeah. What a beautiful observation. I had no idea. I'm not very cultured, and so especially the educational stuff elsewhere, I have no idea. So that's, like, really cool to learn that. How do you feel like being labeled this bad kid or whatever would have been said about you up to that point influenced the way you felt by maybe feeling more seen once you were in America and doing things under more of our structure? Because there was a choice too for you still could have been the bad kid, but you obviously felt
Yes.
more seen and you felt more autonomy. So what do you think was the switch over for you?
I think first of all, I think like of course I got lucky. There was certain element of luck that I came into a community. It's Fair Lawn, New Jersey. So first everybody comes from Brooklyn. Everybody lives in Brooklyn, and when they, move up a little bit in status, they moved over to New Jersey. So it's a community of immigrants that came a little bit earlier. And I remember my first friends were Israelis, then there were Italians, and it was just moving up a little bit who knew more of the culture. So I didn't feel out of place. And then I go into this boarding school that really focuses, like, I needed help with English. They gave me English, and they said, look, when you're studying two languages, it's actually easy. So try studying English and German, and try doing this. And oh, by the way, when the school is over, you can ski as much as you want to. So like, I didn't have to, I agreed with the system, like there was like the name of your show is perfect. I was emotionally unavailable. I couldn't fit in the old Soviet system
Yeah.
because it didn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
They made me do stuff that I didn't want to do. And here I come into a different country. I repeated the last grade because I needed to learn English. So I repeated the 12th grade in the States. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm studying whatever I want to. And
Yeah.
nobody's telling me that I'm an idiot because I
Yeah.
cannot pass, I cannot, I cannot pass English exam, right? Nobody's labeling me, right? They're just helping me. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to learn. I
Yeah,
want
so
to
you
do this.
really
I want to
felt
understand
supported
everybody.
versus being torn down for
Accepted,
not fitting into the
supported,
system. Yeah.
all those things. I felt understood. Like people really, there was a lot of empathy in terms of, look, this kid just moved from another country. We had no internet. We had no messengers. He has no friends. He has no family. He's nobody. He's like upstate New York in the Adirondack Mountains all by himself. I had nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
I couldn't call anybody because calls were so expensive. Like in the
Mhm.
90s
I
to call across
remember.
the ocean. I tried one month. My dad called me, says, what?
Oh my god. I when the internet did become a thing in the late 90s where it was pretty accessible to anyone, um, I would talk to people online, and then I tried to call a couple of times. Oh my god, it was so expensive,
Yeah, okay.
it was so expensive. I was like, "I'm so sorry." I had to pay for it because it was, like, hundreds of dollars.
Right?
It
It
was
was
so bad.
insanely expensive. So now everything is free and you can call anybody in the world. But again, I was removed from my environment, and I was surrounded. Yeah, of course, there are always jerks, right? Who wants to
Sure,
poke at
yeah,
the guy who doesn't understand it? But majority were really nice, supportive, and like I wanted to be that. I wanted to
yeah.
become an American. I was like, I accepted it right away, and I really put in a lot of effort to learn the language, then to go to a good university, then to get a good job, and in all the steps, I didn't skip any steps.
So these people pouring into you really gave you, I'm hearing, kind of a sense of pride in this new part of your culture, becoming an American and wanting to really lean into what every part of that meant for you. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was so
That
welcoming,
really
open, and
influenced you then.
supportive that they like said, "Come on over."
Yeah.
Not just give me a legal residency because in America I can move to Brooklyn, right? And I don't need to learn English. I can speak native language forever.
Yeah.
Or there are big pockets, different communities where people, they never assimilate. They bring their culture and they live in that culture. I was fortunately, it was like this clean break. Bye bye, Lubim, you going there, that culture stays there, and it's clear. Life makes it. The universe separated. It was
This feels
clean cut.
good. Yeah. Well, it really feels like you were just born in the wrong place, man, like, for you. Like, like, you were just like, it just
Yeah,
makes me think of astrocartography, but, like, really, this was just a better fit for who your little soul was. Like,
yeah,
you just were not meant to live in a system that was going to make you try to be like everybody else.
exactly.
And
You said
and
it
somebody
perfectly.
saw your
Exactly like that.
natural gifts, and how amazing.
Exactly.
Oh, I love
You said
that.
it perfectly.
Okay, so I have a personal question.
Yes.
How did all of these moves influence your relationship with your parents?
Look, my mom was killed when I was 1.
Okay.
So with my dad, he actually moved us to the United States. At first, I had issues with him for doing it like that. We're moving. But
Mhm.
just to paint the picture, after Soviet Union broke up, Ukraine was in big chaos. It was really gang ridden and,
Mhm.
coming, there were big waves of immigration. And if the information got out that you're sitting on the bags and ready to go, it was really common thing that they, armed robbery. Just
Yeah.
walk in, clean up, because when people are leaving, you sell everything and you keep like your most prized possessions and cash that you got for liquidating your life savings. People sell everything and go. So it had to be so quietly done. Like I knew it was coming because we had to go. At that time, we were applying for our status when Soviet Union was one big country. So we had to go to one place. We had to go to Moscow and to the US embassy and have our interviews there. So, but we went and we were approved. So it was just a matter of time, but nobody knew. There's one person who knew, and it was my dad. Um, because I did sports and then I went to the university and I got married in the States. Like we not only drifted geographically, but we had a period of time where we had almost no communication. Like I was really focusing on building my life in the States, and he was working in Ukraine, and we kind of, went apart. And then after years, I went to visit him in 2014. That was right before Crimea got annexed, and I saw it building up, and that event kind of brought us together. And when I had this offer to stay in 2015, I thought, look, he's getting older, so it's kind of nice to be on the same side of the ocean. That was like a
Yeah.
personal part that you're the only one who heard it so far because it was all for business. No, there are always other parts, and for me, business, changing people's lives, it's important. But when you have your father, whom I haven't seen, like, when I was a professional skier, Christmas, birthday, all that stuff, it doesn't exist. You have a World Cup, you have a European Cup, you have to get ready, you have all your schedule planned out, and you cannot
Yeah.
skip. So I missed all the birthdays, missed all the holidays, and when you don't do things together, you always drift apart.
Mhm.
So, but then fortunately, life brought us together. Just to answer your question, first we kind of separated, and then when reunited 25 years later,
So
a
he moved
quarter of a
back
century.
to Ukraine then?
Say it again.
He moved back from America to Ukraine?
Yeah. Yes, his brother was living there for 5 years, and he came and he saw that the immigrants way, you have to learn English, you have to become a computer programmer. Then he decided that the more that he moved the family out of there, we're not in immediate danger. We're safe in an environment. I have two younger sisters. At that time, I was 17, one was 12, and one was 7. So they're both younger than me, and we had school to go to. We were in a safe environment, and he felt that by himself he has a better chance of you know going back and working there. So he actually picked up and he went back to work
On his
in
own?
Ukraine. Yeah,
So
then
your
he left
stepmom
us
and the
in the
girls
States.
stayed here?
We all stayed here. My stepmom had some health issues, so I was raising the two of my sisters
Wow.
before, while I was still a minor.
Yeah.
Those were the days, when you walk in and you say, "Yeah, we are from Ukraine. These are my sisters." They say, "You have a legal guardianship." Yes, I do. Sign here. I sign. I enroll them in school. I take them to the hospital. I sign up with ski clubs. It was.
Wow.
I mean, what else do you do? Like, no, I
Yeah,
don't. Then everybody gets arrested. No, of
right.
course, and yeah, we made things work, but I really think my dad was really like, it takes a lot of bravery, first of all, like to say, okay, we're picking up and going. And then you get to America and you assess the situation. You're saying, look, to provide for my family, I'd be better off leaving them here and actually going, wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a big one, you know?
It's a big sacrifice for sure. So did you enjoy that time with him when you were working there?
Melissa, I was going through hell, you know?
Just trying to survive the
I
whole
had
thing?
I had so much pressure. Like I was on Veterans Day. I had another show, and I told the guy. I remember I was physically paralyzed that night. There was so much pressure I had. Like my right side, I couldn't move it.
Mm.
But I would get on the train and I go see my dad and my younger brother. I could spend time with them. So, you know, it was difficult, challenging, but we had, you know, we started having birthdays together. We started
Aw.
having holidays together. So there were years that I would finish my work, I get on the train at night, and in the morning I would wake up. I was on the western border of Ukraine most of the time, and he was in Kiev, which is one night ride. And Ukraine is a big country if you look at
Yeah,
it on the map. It's nothing like the United States, but you know, it's quite large. And yeah, we did spend
quite a bit of
more.
time
We
together.
had in a few years we spent more time together than we
I
spent in the
bet.
previous 25. How is that for an
Yeah.
answer?
So you have a younger brother as well?
Yeah, my stepmom passed away in early 2000s, and my dad, he got married one more time. And when I came to Ukraine, my little stepbrother was 6. We have more than 30 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Wow.
came this here's imagine this. I came first time to visit in 2014, right? It was Maidan, it was happening right there and then. I mean, I showed up at the beginning. I I wasn't in Ukraine for 22 years. I come to visit in February 2014. I flew in, it was after midnight. And the next morning I turned on TV and the first person was killed on Maidan. And Maidan is the square where the Ukrainians were standing and protesting the president, who was Moscow's puppet, and they wanted him out because they felt that, you know, the country is not independent. So I show up 22 years later and the first death happens on the same day. And then I'm watching like tanks roll and everything is burning, and I'm like, where's that? And I'm looking at the little scroll at the bottom. It's like Kiev. I'm looking out the
Yeah, you're
window, you
like,
know, it's
"That's
just
where I am."
yes, I
It's
want. And imagine you're 6-year-old and he comes to me and says, Lyubim, I had to go, you know, I had a lot of work, I had a lot of responsibilities, and I have to go back to the States. And he's like, can you please stay a little more? Because all the adults talk about is about this war.
Oh.
That's all they talk about. And he is like, it's a 6-year-old. He says, all their conversations come back to one thing. And he said, I want to have fun with you. I love hanging out with you. I'm having fun. Can you please stay? So I
Oh.
postponed for 1 week. Next week, he's crying the same thing. So I think like I stayed 2 or 3 weeks after. Yeah, because he was
Oh.
just asking me, can you please, I want to have a normal childhood with my older bro. Can you stay?
That's so sweet. Oh my goodness. Wow. So is your
Yeah.
dad still alive or no?
Yeah, he's alive and well. Yeah, I just talked to him. I thought he was in the States, but he's in Kiev. I said, what are you doing? He says, I have important meetings. I said, okay. My dad is like, you know, his work is the meaning of his life. And he will keep going, like, his life will end before the work, like that, which
Wow.
is really cool, you know? Melissa, my dad had me when he was a teenager
Yeah.
in the former Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Like, I think about it now. Before I was like mad at him for different things, you know, it's parents, kids all the time. And I'm thinking like, wow, really? Like 18, 19 in the former Soviet Union, private business was prohibited. You couldn't have gold, you couldn't have US dollars, you couldn't have anything. You had to slave for the state, you know,
Yeah.
that it can build nuclear weapons and start wars in different parts of the world to show, you know, how big and strong they are.
Yep.
So it was such a control. We're talking about 1975.
Mm-hmm.
It's the height of Cold War. And I'm thinking like, thank God they didn't trash me, you know? Because when you have a teenage parent, I'm sorry to say it like
No,
that,
you're
but
exactly
that was
right.
they would just say, bye, next. And, then he put me on skis, he moved me to the States. I just, yeah, so my dad is still working. And I'm saying, are you here? He says, no, I am in Kiev. I was like, when? He said, I never left.
Oh, okay.
I said, I am confused, Dad. I cannot follow you. I am sorry, I cannot follow you. I must be getting older.
He's like, ugh, you don't need to know anyway. Why are
Exactly.
you checking up
He's
on
like,
me? That's hilarious.
yeah, let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, Lyubim.
Okay, so to me, based off the things that you have provided for me to read about you, you seem like a humanitarian, that you care deeply about others and the way they are experiencing life. So, when did you become so passionate about helping other people in the way that you are?
Well, I think a lot about it. I think being raised by grandparents, by my grandmother, did a lot with that. And the fact that when I was 5, the Afghanistan war started. We're talking about 1980, and it lasted until I was 16.
Mhm.
So the backdrop of my first part of my conscious life was seeing the guys, and at that time there were only guys. Now it's unfortunately guys and girls. They would come back from the war that, they're mandatory draft, 18, they get drafted, they get sent to another country, they come back, and there is no system.
Yeah.
And I was watching like a little kid at this system where had the entertainment, they would fight the vets because they're messed up, and like I couldn't understand. And all those vets during the day, I did sports. They're all young guys who came back after war. They're strong. And you're trying to do something and they would always help kids who did sports. And then at night, something changed, something clicked, and
Yeah.
it was totally different animal. And I was like, I remember wondering, like, why is the system like this? And actually, it took me until I started doing this work to get the answers. So I think it's the that subconscious programming of my early conscious life, from 5 to 16, and then seeing that 40 years later we're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Even if I go to the United States that has the best program, look, if somebody has, if a combat veteran has a PTSD, they all do, and some of them ask to get rolled into a carpet and they roll me in the carpet and stick me under the bed before I freak out, because after I freak out, you guys are not going to stop me. So a person like that cannot go and say, hey, look, I have these benefits. I want to go to college. I want to get a mortgage. I want to have a normal
Right.
life. Like I saw that bridge is missing, and I just had the opportunity to build it. And that's what I did. I'm not doing this. It's not for me. Melissa is definitely, I know that this is my legacy project, but these guys and girls, they're so cool.
Mhm.
Like I really learned a lot from them. Like I've had a huge life experience living all over the place and working on big goals. And then you are meeting somebody who was like 20 years old, goes volunteers, and then he loses a leg and he's still like a kid, right? But they already like have to accept something that most of us cannot even imagine accepting. They have to accept that they have three, or they don't have two legs, they have one leg, and some have no legs and no arms, they have nothing, and then they have to function in this world, and it's permanent, and it does something to their psyche. So when you come in contact with that, you feel the greatness, the
Yeah.
inner strength, that everybody has asks me, oh, you've done a lot of things, so talk to us about resilience. I'm like, I just did what I wanted to do, and I just kept going at it longer than everybody else. And, I was able to focus and really stay the course. But like, you should talk to this guy or this girl, like, I think for women it's a big deal because, like girls have a pimple and it's end of life, teenagers. Well, now imagine that teenager yesterday loses a leg today,
Yeah.
or they take off half of her face, like, and they have to live with that.
Yeah. I mean, the
So
beauty standards do make living impossible for women. But I mean, I don't know. I would like to lovingly challenge you here because it really sounds to me like you are minimalizing your own experiences, and I think there can be room for both. I think you had some real shit circumstances that you absolutely overcame. I have seen people immigrate and not assimilate well. You did make some really key choices. And yes, you were lucky. You were, call it luck, call it fate, whatever, but you did encounter some very soft, kind,
yeah,
loving people. And yes, I think they made a difference, but every day you've made choices. And
yes,
listen, the stuff that you lived with before and after, it all sucked. You have your own
yes,
trauma. So I don't want you to feel like you even need to compare because you don't. And you are resilient. You're a badass. I mean, you wouldn't be where you are if you weren't.
thank you.
So I'm giving you some love. I don't want you to feel like I'm lecturing you,
Thank you,
but
and I appreciate. You're talking about, it's true, and this is stuff that maybe I don't like talking about it because I feel like it's bragging, but it's
right.
true. I had a lot of shit that I had to go through, and as my dad says, it's really nice to go through shit with Lubim because he's the first one up in front shoveling it off, even if he has only a spoon.
Yeah. How do you
So
do this? Do
yeah.
you have a faith in something or a belief in your purpose? Like what does make you continue to be able to stand and be the first one in line to do what needs to be done?
Look, let's just talk about honesty. There are a lot of times that I'm challenged, like the Veterans Day. I felt so, you know, um, I look how charities are run and I see a huge charity industrial complex that extracts money from people with good heart and they pay their salaries, offices, benefits, entertainment. The people who are supposed to serve the cause, and the money, sometimes nothing makes it there. And we're
Yep.
talking about tens, hundreds of millions. We're talking about huge numbers. So what they do is they say like, look, these people, they're suffering. Please help us help them. That's the pitch. Show a lot of sad stories, show a lot of sad pictures, and raise a lot of money so you can hire more people, so you can have bigger PR firms. And I did the work myself, Melissa. I first rehab. I had to rehab one guy for a month because he would have lost his only leg. And I was there every day, all 30 days, from morning till night. I would drive him. I would go in therapy with him. We had in Turkey, they have 2 holidays, one in the winter, one in the summer. Everything stops. And we hit that week. So the physical therapist gave me rubber band and she said, Lubim, you hold this leg and you have whatever left from that leg. I mean, Melissa, when you do that, you just everything else is just like all my problems and my difficulties and all that stuff is like, you just think like, man, I was like making up so much stuff. But my paper cut hurts a lot more than somebody's amputation because it's my paper cut. It's me. Okay.
Yeah.
So for people who are trying to get through difficult time, I have a 2-step formula. It's super easy. If I feel that I want to get something done, if it comes from the inside, there is something like I think I should do, I crunch the numbers and it all makes sense. But sometimes you see something and it wants to come out. That feeling like, like this would be really cool. So when I get that feeling, I always am very aware of that feeling and I spend more time thinking if I really would like to do that, like feeling into it. And if I feel that it's real, then number one, I make a decision. And there are different kinds of decision. The decision that I'm talking about is the unconditional decision that I am going to go after this thing until I get it. And then the step number two is that I will make only one next step. So let's take, for example, I am building a business. First of all, I decide that I'm not going to people make plans for 10, 20, 30 years. I've seen people that make plans all their life, and they think that whatever it is, it's like a domino, right? When it's perfectly lined up, you just push one and they all fall in. It's not
It
like that,
doesn't work
right?
like that.
So I say, you make a decision that you're going to go do that something that's important to you. After you made that decision, you don't have to waste energy on planning, on thinking. You already decided. And I am saying, okay, what is the most important thing, or what is the one thing that I can do right now that will get me closer to my goal? Like, for example, me reaching out to you. I want to go on podcasts and I want to, but a lot of times people are uncomfortable sending cold emails, picking up the phone, doing that. But you already decided that you have to do it, and you say, okay, I have to make calls. You make the calls.
Yeah.
Then you put down the phone and you say, oh, wow, out of those people, one person said something that I have no idea. So my best next step is to follow on that lead. And you follow on that lead. And then it just like that. The other way is to plan everything. It's just so overwhelming.
You are so right.
Like,
Yeah.
I decided all my energy goes into one step, and I just think I kept going more. Like, I think starting sports early, I was not a
Yeah.
talented athlete, but I really liked it. I always loved skiing. It was like how kids talk about Minecraft right now. I used to talk about skiing. It was all about, there's only one topic in Lyubim's life, it was skiing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I noticed that with time, the kids who were much better athletes than me, they just stopped. So I moved up one spot, and I moved up one spot, and I moved up one spot because I was not getting better than them. They were just quitting. And I think
Right.
I applied that to all other things. I took that, what worked, and I tried it in another one, like going to the States or going to college. Um, I always wanted to go to New York University because it's the only business school that is a big name that has undergraduate business school. Like
Yeah.
Columbia does not have an undergraduate. So I wanted to go to school in New York. And when I got accepted to NYU and I showed up on the first day, and I'm like, I'm 300 miles away from Lake Placid. So in order for me to continue skiing, I have to make a 600-mile commute every weekend.
Oh my
So
God.
I had to figure out, once I know I made a decision, I want to go to the Olympics. If I stop and I go to college, my chances are zero. If I keep going, they're close to zero, but not exactly zero. So I say, okay, what can I do? I picked a schedule when my school ended on Thursday. I got on the bus from New York City, halfway Albany. I picked up my car and I drove another 150 miles to Lake Placid. Friday,
Wow.
Saturday, Sunday, I would ski, drive back to Albany, leave my car, get on the bus, go to. For almost 3 years, I did that. And you know what? I was never thinking if I'm going to do it. I wasn't wasting my energy. That was decided.
Yes. So,
I just
okay, I
kept
want to ask
doing
you
it.
about this because what I'm hearing is A, you're very good at being in touch with your intuition and you follow it. And B, you are really present and mindful, living in each moment and not like in your head, future forecasting, catastrophizing, any of that. But C, it sounds like you weren't wasting time on bullshit shame narratives either, because that's what stops us. That's what'll pause all effort and be like, "Oh God, how am I gonna
Yes.
do it? I'm not good enough." Blah blah. You didn't have that, so what the hell? How did you even learn half of this shit that you like? You just literally was like, "Oh, I'm gonna try this method," or did you listen to personal development? Did you get into like, audiobooks? Like what the
Well,
hell?
they didn't have that. I got into it later on, but they didn't have it in the beginning, so I had my system. And I think that I realized that you have to do things by yourself because people have other things all the time. Like when something requires an effort and you have a group of people, like even let's say we want to go skiing upstate. Like everybody has to make plans with their families, at work, with everything. And then things get postponed and it's like, look, tomorrow I have to go and I'm going. You guys coming or not? I'm going.
Yeah,
So
but you believed
I
you
think I was
could.
naturally really independent, like I think, first of all, I was an outcast. Like my worst day in my entire life was September 1st when I was 7 years old. It was first day of school and all the kids showed up well dressed. They have mom, dad, flowers, even some brought chocolate because I never tried chocolate. It was like Soviet Union to have chocolate, real chocolate. It was only for the teachers, like to show how important they are. And here I am, I have no uniform. My grandmother brings me, right? So that really made me an outcast from the beginning, from the very first day. And I was pushed out, I was not accepted, like I was really different. And I think that prepared me to the future of, when you work on your dreams, you have to be prepared to do it alone.
Yeah,
This
but you
worst thing you
believed
can
you
do is tell
could.
people what you're going to do. You just
So many people
like flip it and
don't
just
believe
do
they
it.
can do things on their own and they waste a lot of energy begging other people to do it with them or for them or, you know?
Look, in the United States, keeping up with the Joneses is a big thing. I grew up in the ghetto in the Soviet Union. We had like 4 families living in one apartment. 4
Mm,
different families in
wow.
one place. So you don't have privacy. You don't have things that, in the States, you change cars and homes and, all the things that
Yeah,
you don't really need, but that's what everybody does. And, this is what success looks like: a bigger home, you know, newer car and stuff. And it's programmed into our mind from the very childhood. And to break away from that, it takes a lot of courage, I think. Like
yeah,
if you're an American and if you look at Elon Musk. The guy is like, he lives in his factory. I'm just saying, when he is the wealthiest guy in the world and he still isolates himself
yeah,
because you well, look, you decide, your dreams are more important to you or being accepted by everybody else. And oh, by the way, if that's somebody else, it's your family, your friends, whoever, if they give you a list of all the things that you need to do to be like great and accepted, say, Melissa, do all this stuff, and then you're awesome, and you would go spend next 50 years doing it, and you come back, say, mom, dad, friends, I did it. They'd be like, huh?
yeah,
You did what? I
yeah,
did everything you asked me 50 years ago. What are you talking about?
yeah. 100%. Okay,
So it's like
I have one
our
more
own,
question before you tell us about Wings for Heroes. Do you have joy in your life?
oh yeah, of course, a lot. I'm really enjoying talking to you.
Good, good. What do you what does joy look like for you on the daily?
Oh, right now I'm really grateful that I live in a place where I fly paragliders. I haven't done it much last,
Wow.
yeah, that plastic little bag
Ah.
with little strings that you hanging thousands
Oh,
of feet
hell
in the air.
no.
Hell yeah.
Hell no.
So I can take a backpack. I can go top of the mountain and I can fly for a few hours if I wanted to. No fuselage, no engine, no people, nothing. I can be like a bird. That's my
Yeah.
my thing. Or I can get, I started cycling recently. We had a bad accident 15 years ago. And I have a really good friend who he came back from world championships as a coach for cycling. And he said, man, let's go for a ride. I said, okay, you're famous now. So how can they say no? Let's go. And I really enjoyed it. So I like I like doing things. I like still I like learning things. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's interesting, like flying paragliders or reading or just I I guess simple things.
I was about to
I like
say, you are just
challenging myself.
surrounded by abundance. Like, you see the abundance in everything because it can be simple, but it can be so much.
Can we talk about this for a minute?
Yeah.
So I risked my life for years working in the war zone, running a company that was a total mess, not because it was a mess, but because, part of the country got annexed and the volumes halved and they halved and they halved. And then currency got devaluated by 90%.
Oh my
And they
god.
had the debt in US dollars. So it's like everything is upside down. And the responsibility of having people and, it just, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of constant. I don't know how to explain this thing, but I think sometimes it's not really it's not for a lot of people.
It sounds very
But what I'd like to
sobering.
say is that I know that everyone is going through it. When you are going through a challenge, whatever you're facing right now, you will learn whatever you need to learn to face your next challenge, and it never becomes comfortable, easy, because the more you learn, the more you're able to handle.
Yeah,
So it's like
damn it.
what keeps people young and, vibrant and full of energy is actually accepting these challenges, because, we all will die soon. Even if we
Yeah.
live to 120 years old, it will go by fast. So
Yes.
whoever's listening to it, first of all, the probability that you're hearing Melissa in Lyubim out of 8 billion people plus, right?
Right?
You in America, I am in Turkey, it's close to zero. So there is a big message in it. And the message is that it doesn't matter, like, somebody's really accomplished compared to you. You have to handle your next challenge. And the faster you get through it, then one day you look back and say, if it wasn't for what I'm doing right now, I would never send you that. I did blah, 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 writing all the stuff that I did because I feel like it's bragging, but I did it for somebody else. And now I want you listeners to hear and say, if you decide today on what you really want to do, and then you would just take that one step and don't overwhelm yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just do one thing, and then you will do the next thing. In a very short period of time, you will look back and say, it's not possible. I could not do it. I was sitting here 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 5 years ago. How could I get it done? How is it even possible? Well, it's just like that. You just do one thing that you can do right now and don't worry about everything else. It's like, imagine you're like a lamppost, right? That shines the street, like you see the lights everywhere. And then you have this laser beam. That laser beam that points like straight at whatever it needs to point.
Yeah.
And it can burn, explode, it can just cut through everything. So you have to become really clear. Like, if it's coming from inside of you, then it means that it's only you who can do it. Like,
Yeah.
we are so different, right? I could never do what you are here, and you could never do what I am here. And I hope that at least one person who listens says, okay, I'm going to try it. I decide that on this thing, I wanted to do it for that period of time. I'm done burning energy. I am doing it. And then step one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And then you
Yes.
win.
Ooh, I
You can
love
get it
that.
all, if
Yes. And you're right. It is a decision and then a confirmation of that decision every day. You decide it over and over and over again. Beautiful advice. Thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable. Okay, tell us about Wings for Heroes and where we can find you.
Okay, wingsforheroes.org. The 4 is number 4 in the middle. I told you about my paragliding experience. So when I was working in Ukraine, they knew that I love skiing. And one of the things that I had to do is cut out my paycheck. Like, the company paid for my housing. I had a driver. They stacked my fridge, right? Like, my basic needs were met. But we were in such situation that I couldn't take a salary. And everybody knew that I'm a skier. So they pitched in and they sent me skiing to a glacier in Austria for Christmas, 2016. So I go up to this glacier and I'm checking in at the hotel, and I look and I see, advertising for paragliding. Never saw it. I get my keys, I turn around, and behind me there's another one. And I'm like, well, this is not a coincidence, because I never saw advertising for tandem. So I get this brochure, I go upstairs, I call, the lady answers, and she says, tomorrow, show up at this place and you're gonna go flying. So I show up on the mountain and she says, this guy is your pilot, and big Austrian guy, he's maybe 60, but he's strong, he's really fit. He grabs me, says, okay, man, let's go. Says, is this your first time? I said, yeah. He says, mine too. Ha, 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 ha. I was
Oh
like,
my God,
that's not funny.
no.
It's not funny.
You're like,
So we go to the end of the cliff, and we are in part of Austria Like the town is like 2,000 feet below, and it's a cliff, like a wall, you know, like, and he says, okay, we run that way. And I said, okay, we run that way, we take off. And I see the chairlifts that I skied on my entire life. I did more laps than probably 95+% people on this planet, because, you know, that's what you do. You just ski from
Yeah.
first chair to last. And they like get small. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to die. I don't know, this guy is gonna kill me. I said goodbye to my dad in the air.
Oh
I
my
am
God.
dying. I saying goodbye to my dad. I started saying goodbye to my brother. And then I was like, okay, stop, Lyubim. Just stop freaking out. He's cool. We land, Melissa. I'm like this. Everything is finished. The guy left. I'm sitting there like, whoa. I thought of myself as a relatively brave guy. Like, what's going on? I'm shaking, right? I'm just like freaking out. And I was like, okay, I have to learn how to do this thing. Still shaking. I have to learn how to do this thing well enough so I can fly other people. Stop. Then at one of our gas stations, I saw a double amputee on a wheelchair. The guy rolls out and he goes towards the highway. And there was like absolutely nothing there. You know, there's no pedestrian walk, nothing. It's just like, yeah. I saw him roll away. Maybe 15 minutes later, huge storm came in. It was like one of the hail, thunder, everything. And I'm thinking about this guy, you know. So I called the garage. I asked, they sent the pickup truck. And we went where he went. And he was on the side of the road trying to get through the mud. We are 30 miles away from the border with Hungary and Slovakia. It's all trucks. And nobody's stopping. They're just going and splashing the guy. So we loaded him up in the car and put his chair in the back, and I'm sitting next to him. And it's like, I don't know if you ever been next to a person that's like, they're still alive, but there's, you know, they're gone. Like
Yeah.
there's no life in him. It was just like, just whatever clothing was left, it was all big. He was just really in bad shape. And I was like, man, I got to do something about this. So when the full scale invasion started, I removed myself from Ukraine, and here I am sitting on the beach, and I'm thinking, would be great, like if we take somebody who had experienced such loss and we go off the cliff, then for a little moment in time, they will forget about all their problems. Like
Yeah.
I forgot about all my problems.
Yeah.
It was really like, I'm gonna scare them to death, give them that experience. They will forget for a little moment that they're
Because all you
missing
can
a leg
focus
or
on
two.
is
It's
about the
honest
fact that
truth.
you might die.
That's how the thought went. That's how the thought went. And then it took a little bit more than 1 year to fly the first guy. And it was actually like that because, you know, in the middle, he's our number one. He's on
Oh,
all our logos. All the logos that we
I
have
love
is just the real
that.
person. He's the number one, and number one is
Wow.
brave, you know. He volunteered to go to war when he was 20. They
Wow.
sent him to fly drones, and he said, I felt like I was hiding behind civilians. So for 5 months, he kept writing letters, send me to the assault brigade, send me to the assault brigade. And they finally accepted him. And he does not care about anything. I mean, we did some, you know, he started, I keep working with him more than 1 year now because there is a purpose in that one guy. But um, we watched the videos from his first flight, and for a moment we scared him. If you go on my Instagram, if you go Wings for Heroes Instagram, it's pinned to the top. It's the very first flight. Just watch it, and I didn't edit it. He's a
Oh,
Ukrainian guy. Just listen to what he says.
okay.
It was English, full on swearing. Like what?
I love it.
And when
You're
we were
like,
like, okay,
check,
it
mission
worked.
accomplished.
Yep. But that was
Love
just
it.
the beginning, you know. Then I found out that they need physical therapy. Then they need a psychologist, and all the things that they need. I do everything. Like I'm self-funded for the first 2 years because everybody has an idea, right?
Hmm.
And not many people can implement. And I wanted to see how it works, how much it costs. And then I compared it to the charities, and that's why I call it the charity industrial complex of extracting money.
Yeah.
Because for me to rehab a guy for fly it to Turkey, back and forth, housing, food, 12 physical therapy sessions, 8 swimming sessions or 9 we had, was a holiday, one-on-one in his private lane with his private coach. Plus we had team cycling rides. He got on the bike, all that stuff. It cost me $4,000, $4,000.
Wow.
And I looked at other charities, they spend 4 times more just on operations.
Yeah.
And it's in their reports. So, you know, um, the mission started, let's take veterans out of their environment, make them travel, show them the beach, the mountains, the culture, because, you know, it's Mediterranean. It's really, you
Yeah.
know, it's lively, it's hot. It's really, they're really welcoming. They're loving people. They're really supportive to
I love
veterans.
that.
You
Yeah.
know, they've been fighting Turkey's been fighting terrorism or whatever on the east side for 40 years. I had a lot of Turkish older guys come up and say, here's me in the uniform. I have a bullet here. I have
Mm,
something in my back. So like,
yeah.
I realized that I am building, like, I'm this nucleus, and people are just coming because first of all, I wear this 98% of the time. Like, if I go see a doctor, I will remove my wings for heroes, like stuff like that. If I'm going to an official, like, I have next week, I have to reapply for my residency, I will remove my logos. But all other time, I wear my logos. And all the volunteers, I have a lot of volunteers who all are branded, and people just gravitate. They know that we are taking care, like they see this and they all want to
Yeah.
help. They're
Yeah.
all coming. And I have a 24-hour concierge service.
Wow.
They're never alone. When they're here, they're never alone. If they want to see sunset, moonrise, moonset, there was always will be some. If they want to go out on the sea on the boat, there will always somebody will take them. Whatever they need, I have a group, a messenger. They drop their request in the messenger, and one of the volunteers, they're like, done. I am
Wow.
nearby. I am nearby. This guy's picking me up. We're going. We take it. It's like whatever they want, we get it done here. So in
That's
terms of,
amazing.
I am amazed myself, you know, that
Yeah.
it worked out like this. It was like really a picture in my mind, you know, just remove them, scare them, rest. And then, okay, they're here. Let's see, what else do they need? Like what? And they don't open up, you know, because they
Right.
feel betrayed by the society. Lots of promises, lots of, you know, upfront, but then at the end, there's a gap. And the way I see it, we have a scale, you know, like, and the scale is balanced against our society,
Yeah.
and I'm balancing it for everybody. It's not just I'm doing it for me, because I understand, you know, I grew up with that. I see it all my life. I have that book up there, Tragedy and Hope. That book, Bill Clinton read it and he found his calling in life. It's a history of the world. It repeats same thing over and over and over, and we're wasting. They're like the best, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They're the bravest, the smartest, the youngest. The future is being sent away for somebody else's, you know, sick mentality, games,
Yeah. Well, and it
a
sounds
flag
like
on the
you're
map.
giving people hope again.
Yeah, you know, you know, there's a thing in the Old Testament and saying, if you saved one life, you saved the whole world.
Yep.
I really saved one life. I have one guy who was suicidal. Now he's independent. He's traveling Europe with his girlfriend. His dream was to play football or soccer, and he lost a leg. And now he just became a captain of his amputee team. And he calls me and says, Lyubim, I'm sorry I couldn't call you for months, because I really, after I came back from you, I'm busy. I haven't been home for 1 week in 5 months. I'm counting days, not even 1 week. I went there, and went there. Oh, and you know what? When I was little, I was watching these soccer games in these modern stadiums, European, like with lights. He's like, I am in that stadium, man.
Oh
I
my.
am living my dream. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh, okay, a year ago you were thinking about
Yeah.
checking out, and now you're 40 minutes, Melissa. 40 minutes. I was like, wow, he doesn't talk. His girlfriend
Yeah.
told me, if he disappears, don't take it personal. That's how he handles difficult times. And he had 2 amputations because they didn't do it right the first time. So we met, he had the second one, he disappears, and she says, he doesn't even talk to us. And then he is going on, and I'm like, is it the same guy? It's like
Wow.
not this. He was, emotionally unavailable. He is he is busy. He doesn't have time for a phone call. Forget about, all the sad stuff that he used to think about. And, he got fat, he got really chunky, and he got really heavy. And I was like, whoa. Yeah, now he's
Wow.
captain of his soccer team.
I love it. Thank you so much for being you, for the work that you're doing, for being willing to sit down with me. I have loved this conversation so much. And thank you for allowing me to just kind of take it where I felt like I wanted to take it. And I just appreciate you for showing up, man.
Thank you for doing that, because you caught me. I started talking about somebody else because I'm not really comfortable talking about me. But, I hope that your listeners will read the biography and say, look, all I have to do is 2 things: decide and take 1 step. I can do that. And I
Absolutely.
really
And listen,
believe that it
those are
will
very
help
powerful
you.
words. They are. They're very powerful. And it sounds like you've been exposed to some, Eastern cultural stuff that a lot of us don't get until we go seeking on our own, because you have amazed me with like just your ability to develop those things within yourself without even having people preaching it to you nonstop. Like you just found the way for yourself, and I think that's wonderful.
Melissa, if anybody wants to go east, wingsforheroes.org has a contact button. We are an open source organization. You can come visit us. I don't have a sponsors as sponsors, but the only way that people can support us are by buying our branded gear. And I added $40 to each shirt and hoodie. You can buy 2 things. And if I sell 100 those, it pays for 1 month of full rehab of an amputee or a deaf veteran. And I open up my bank statements once every quarter so you can look at everything. It's 100% transparency.
I
I
love
don't know
that.
anybody who does it, but I
No, me
understand that,
neither.
I cannot compete with huge charities, but I can show the work and I can show the results and I can open the bank statements,
Well,
because
and
I accepted that I'm not going to be wealthy. I'm not going to drive. I've driven luxury cars. I worked on Wall Street. I experienced all that. And I'm okay with not having a car, and riding a bike. But I invite whoever's listening and you want to know about what we do, wingsforheroes.org. We are completely open. And if you were worried about going east, you can come to Turkey, and American will meet you and show you around. Say, look, you can eat here, you can go there, you can go there. It's all safe.
I love it.
So
Well,
I'm
thank
really
you.
easy to reach. Yeah.
You
Thank
are,
you.
and I love that it's so easy to support you just buying the merch. Well, shit, who can't do that, you know? Um, so let's stay in contact. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push stop
Yes.
if you'll hang out for a minute while your thing uploads, and we'll finish visiting.
Thank you.
Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelisahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops. All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
INDEPE and cut.